Hey guys, what's going on? Druzy here, back again with another South Park Phone Destroyer video, and because there are no balance changes coming this week, or this season, as I've mentioned in the last episode, then we are going to go ahead and talk about the tier list for this month of August, because we can do it much earlier than normal, because we don't have to wait around to try out the new balance changes with the new cards to see how good they are now. So, of course, the biggest change from last month to this month is the addition of the superheroes theme, which we will talk about in great detail, more than probably any of the other themes right now, because in all honesty, I don't feel like many of the other themes have had much adjustment have been done to the game because of the fact of no balance has been done to the game in recent months. So we'll talk about each theme real quick. We'll break down my rankings for the theme at the end like I normally do, and of course we'll talk about the superhero theme as well, and where I've ranked these cards in each of these tiers that I've discussed now for a couple months now. So let's just go ahead and talk about adventure theme first, per usual. Alright guys, for adventure, we're only going to talk about two cards. So first off, no change has been done to the theme, in my opinion. The theme stays where it's at. So I've bracketed Medicine Woman Sharon and Outlaw Tweak. So Medicine Woman Sharon, to me, is flirting with G tier. She is extremely strong in the meta. People are starting to get her to 5. A lot of people have her to 5 now. A lot of people have her, some even have her to level 6, and maybe even some have her to level 7 right now within the current meta, even though level 6 to level 7 is not a big change, but that's irrelevant. So the fact that Medicine Woman Sharon, to me, is flirting with G tier, she is running rampant in adventure decks. For obvious reasons, she's extremely strong right now. The balance change to her. Her healing is so good. It can cancel out, and people have been talking about it, it's been able to cancel out Alien Queen Red's poison from SciFi because of how good it is. That's just insane. That you can have a level 5 or level 6 rare card completely cancel another card's ability pretty much all the way through to where you can get that push to continue to push forward. You can throw in Santa in the mix to get her to where she can heal even more, or Hanky, or both, to where she can heal even more ridiculously. And I feel like I was one of the first people to really try out the Santa Many Moons, Ink and Craig, and Medicine Woman Sharon stuff. And I think people, I'm not saying people just copied what I did, but I felt like I started that. Maybe that was started before me, but I did multiple streams and a couple different videos showcasing her power of her healing, and now she's everywhere. So I feel partially responsible for that, but I figured people would have figured it out anyways, even if it wasn't for me. And not that I'm the only content creator that makes content for the game. I'm sure Swagboy, or even Pharaoh, or possibly even Hayes made content with this as well, and maybe that's why it got so big. I don't know. And it could be that some people that even play this game don't watch any of our content creators whatsoever, which is kind of disappointing if that's the case, but it could be the case. Anyways, so, Outlaw Tweak, why I've bracketed him. I think Outlaw Tweak is a little bit stronger than people give him credit for. I feel like his Warcry ability is actually pretty good for the AoE damage that it does as a common card. And I think that this last Team Wars for me showed that in the first match that I did, and showing how much damage it could do. Yes, I get that the units were relatively lower level than what I would see at Legendary Arena, and at Legendary Arena, Outlaw Tweak's not that great, but I feel like he's a little undervalued. He has some potential there with his Warcry ability. If maybe he was just only a 3 energy cost instead of a 4, he would probably be a lot better. But outside of that, I think Outlaw Tweak is a little bit better than people give him credit for. He played better, at least in that Team Wars fight, than I gave him credit for, and that was kind of surprising to me. So Outlaw Tweak was a little bit of a surprise for me in Adventure. Not that I've moved him in tier. I've kept him in B. That's where he was at before. But he was a little surprising to me, just how good that Warcry could be situationally within this game. So let's go ahead and switch to SciFi real quick. Alright guys, for SciFi, we have only bracketed 2 cards, Warboy Tweak and 4S Monkey. So we'll talk about 4S Monkey first, because you guys have been waiting for me to get him to level 6, get him to a viable level where we can see him in gameplay, and he's flirting with B. At level 6, he's definitely a B unit. Maybe, I don't think he's A unit, but he's definitely a B unit at level 6. Any level lower than that, he is in C tier, period. So he's only viable at max level 6, where I've showcased that how good he can be in that level. But as a rare card, it's relatively easy to get him to level 6. You just have to grind through requesting him within your team, which is what I did for months to get him to level 6. But once I got him to level 6, as you can see, I've had a lot of fun with him. He's been a staple of my decks, in my Sci-Fi themed decks, because I love Sci-Fi, and he's just been a lot of fun to play. But outside of that, he still stays in the same C tier. If he's not level 6, though, he's definitely B. He may even be A in all reality. Warboy Tweak is flirting with G tier for me. Warboy Tweak has been, I think the buff that he received a few updates ago now has been undervalued, and I undervalued it a little bit. I know that I showcased the fact of where he could be useful in a deck. I think that the emergence of Bradley, so many people are running Bradleys now. The Warboy Tweak could become that much better. Not only is he going to be a range card, which means he's going to get that boost from Bradley, but he's also going to speed up your range units that got a buff from Bradley in damage. Now they can actually attack and move faster. It's just insane the potential that he has, what he's able to do for this theme. The fact that SciFi doesn't have a direct cancel, and the closest thing that we have to it is Alien Queen Red. Warboy Tweak gives an advantage to SciFi users that I've been taking advantage of pushing a huge push forward, boosted by Bounty Hunter Kyle's damage boost, to be able to wipe out cards that are slow, methodical pushes. Things like a Grand Wizard Cartman, things like maybe a level 4 plus Manbear Pig, things like that. Like seeing other people use these slow, methodical, mystical pushes with fantasy thrown in, and maybe even adventure, to where they're just trying to throw in Santa and Standing Many Moons and Pocahontas Rainy and blah blah blah, and you can just use your units, buffed hopefully from Bounty Hunter Kyle with his Warboy boost of his hyperdrive essentially, to make it to where you could turn the tide back in your favor somewhat in a fight. And I've done it multiple times in matches lately, utilizing Warboy Tweak, especially with the superhero theme. And it's just been really fun, been very unique just to see kind of different advantages you can take with Warboy Tweak at your side, and there's a lot of unique decks you could build around with him to make him viable in this current meta structure. So Warboy Tweak to me is a little bit better than I originally, I mean, he's in A tier, so I'm not saying he's been terrible, but I feel like that boost is flirting with him to G tier for me, and maybe that'll change here in a few months, in a month or two from now, if either he gets a little bit of buff increase, or people just really, once I get him to level 6 here, hopefully soon, and by next month, I hope to have him to level 6, and then maybe he'll be, up a tier. We'll see. But just want to give my thoughts on Warboy Tweak and that. So let's move on to Mystical. Alright guys, Mystical had literally no change at all. I mean, most of the main 5 themes, there are little to no changes here. The only bracketed one for Mystical is Angel Wendy. So Angel Wendy is gold because this week, currently that I'm recording this video, is the ranged theme week, right? So Angel Wendy is one of the themed cards from Mystical being utilized for this. Why? You have 3 other ranged units in this theme, right? I mean, no, Imp Tweak doesn't count even though he's flying. You have Master Ninja, you have Medusa Bebe, and you have Cupid Cartman, right? So those 3 cards alone are significantly better than Angel Wendy. The ironic thing is that today is the actual day that is the Wendy day of the event, right? So you thought, oh, there's going to be Angel Wendy event packs, right? Or like big offer packs focusing on her. Red Lynx was smarter than that. They decided to use Medusa Bebe as the focus instead of Angel Wendy. Why? Because Medusa Bebe is obviously better. But if you made Medusa Bebe the focus of today, with Ink and Craig being later on in the week, you also have Humankind as one. SciFi's was Mecha Timmy, so you already had a couple legendary cards thrown in. You can't just do all legendary range units, right? Because then that would just look too biased, right? So you had to sprinkle in Medusa Bebe and hide her in there instead of doing an Angel Wendy. I know that they had PvP pack offers for Angel Wendy, because that's the only way you'd want to waste any of your time or effort on Angel Wendy, is by just using PvP tickets, because she's not worth actual cash. So I get it, but it's ridiculous to me that she was a focus of this thing, because she's one of the worst cards in the entire game right now. She's not good at all. Her only value is in PvE, really, that's in all honesty. She's not useful at all in PvP. You don't see her at all because she's not good. I don't even think you see her in Bronze Shield, because even Bronze people are smart enough to know, just don't play Angel Wendy ever, because even though she has a heal, Medicine Woman Sharon provides significantly more value at the heal there. Even Deckhand Butters provides more value to me than Angel Wendy at healing. So Angel Wendy is just really bad. Don't know why she's a focus of this week, but just thought I'd throw that in there. She's terrible, and we'll just move on to fantasy. Alright guys, so for the fantasy theme, we've only bracketed one unit, and that is Elven King Bradley, because he is the only card from the original for major themes that has been moved in the tier list. So Bradley has gone from A tier to G tier, and I don't know why I waited so long to do it, because I've seen him a lot more now. You see a lot more level 5s. Fantasy users are running rampant with Bradley. For obvious reasons, Bradley is an insanely strong card. He's great in challenge mode. He's great in Team Wars if he's ever played, and he's even good on ladder. So the fact that he's a challenge mode and a ladder dominant player just makes him that much stronger of a card. I mean, who's to think that Mint Berry Crunch is going to be this strong once he finally comes to superhero theme, right? If so, I fear for the world. But people really discounted Bradley's usefulness, how good he could be in this meta, and the fact that there are a lot of strong range units in this theme. Two of them are in the same tier with him now, and you could even debate that Catapult Timmy could be moved up to A tier with Bradley at his side. And then there's plenty of other themes that have other strong range cards as well that can be utilized with Bradley, to where Bradley is just that much more powerful of a card. And Fantasy is run rampant in this current meta because it's one of the strongest themes in this entire game. So, all that being said, why wouldn't you have Bradley in your deck if you're running at Fantasy? Because it's just going to provide that much more value for you, to where you could sneak a bar from the midline with range units that are boosted in damage because of Bradley's overwhelming strength and how useful he can be for you in a push. And the fact that he's a low cost, even if he's canceled, which nobody cancels Bradley, even if he was canceled, then you could just get him back relatively quickly by cycling back to him. Bradley's insane. He's very useful. He deserved to be in G tier. I don't know why I waited so long. But yeah, that's about it for Fantasy. Let's move on to Neutral, and then, of course, to Superheroes. Alright guys, moving on to Neutral. So the only 2 cards of gold this time. There is no change to the tier list for Neutral. But Manbear Pig, to me, is in C tier unless he's level 4 or above. Level 4 Manbear Pig is pretty legit. He has a crap ton of health. If you don't have a cancel for him, even if you do have a direct cancel for him, generally 99% of Manbear Pig users are going to have Pope Timmy to bring him back. So unless you run 2 or 3 cancel cards, you're not going to be able to deal with him. But he has over 4,000 health. It's insane how long he survives for, and he can just be a really useful tank for you, even though he's very high energy cost at 7 energy still. But Manbear Pig at level 4 to me is definitely a B tier. But he's still C tier for the most part because most people don't have him to level 4. That's not, unless you're in an adventure log deck, or you just spent a bunch of money or got stupid lucky, or just got unlucky, what many people would say, by getting a whole bunch of Manbear Pigs to get a level 4. So he is flirting with a different tier based on card level, which is usually the case for any and all of these cards, right? And then for Marcus to me is flirting with G tier because there are a lot of people running him at level 5 and above right now. I haven't seen, in all honesty, I haven't seen the level 6s, but I've seen a lot of level 4, level 5 Marcuses. Still be very useful. Get that nice chip damage to the new kid is very useful. Level 5, he's very strong as a unit, and I'm getting close to getting to level 5 myself. And excited to get him to level 5. I'll be showcasing him more in decks once I do, because I like Marcus. I've liked Marcus, but when he's only at level 4 right now in this meta, he's not strong enough. He needs to be level 5 to be viable. To get that little bit of extra pillow damage is just going to be extremely useful for you to be able to chip down a new kid. And I find a lot of times in my matches, especially with my SciFi deck, sometimes I just can't get to the new kid and get that advantage that I would like. And to be able to have Marcus with a little bit of extra pillow damage would be extremely useful and help me significantly, as would everybody, right? So Marcus is flirting to me with G tier just with how good he could be at level 5 or above. But yeah, that's about it for Neutral. Let's move on to what you guys mostly want to see, where I ranked my superhero cards. Guys, for the first time ever here on the tier list, here are the superhero cards. So 2 cards in G tier, Mosquito and Tupperware. They are the 2 strongest cards in this theme, without question, in my opinion, and they deserve to be in the G tier. Mosquito, insane scaling for a rare card, very useful with this Mosquito Swarm. Tupperware is immune to just about everything, is extremely good as a common unit, and at 4 energy cost, actually pretty good value there with his tank ability, with the fact that he can't be hit by spells, he can't be hit by abilities. The only thing that can do damage to him directly that's an ability is a trap, which is, of course, the Chopper, which is in this own theme. So unless somebody else is running superhero theme, other than doing just direct damage to him with an actual unit, you're not going to see anything else special go about doing damage to Tupperware, which is why Tupperware to me is G tier. And for A tier, we have Human Kite, Super Fart, Tool Shed, and Fast Pass. Fast Pass has really grown on me as one of my favorite superhero cards. I think his dash, if you can get it to go in the right direction or get good value for you, can be extremely devastating just because of the fact that he gets it back so fast, obviously, and the fact that it can go all the way through a bunch of units, even to hit the new kid at times, and it has stolen me some wins by doing new kid damage. Fast Pass is a chip card in its own right if used correctly, or just get stupid lucky and the enemy puts the units down in the wrong order. That Fast Pass is actually very good. Tool Shed has very good scaling. I think will be much better for me once I get him to level 4. Or I'm sorry, to level 5 and stuff like that. Super Fart is one of the best spell cards in the game, in my opinion. It's not quite G tier to me. It's flirting with it. It doesn't have quite the damage scaling probably necessary to be to that level to me, so that's why it's where it's at. Human Kite, a lot of value. His shield lasts for 5 seconds. It lasts forever. He's a flying unit, which is very useful. That's why he's an A tier. Mysterion, surprisingly, to many of you, you would have thought I would have put him in C tier along with Call Girl, but Mysterion, at level 4 and above, I've seen him at level 4, pretty strong. Just like in Kenny at level 4, same stats. I know he's a high energy cost. He infinitely respawns. I think that's why he gets a tier up, because of the fact that he infinitely respawns, right? Unless once he dies. Chomper, a good defensive unit. Usually defensive units don't rank very high in my tier list for obvious reasons, because they don't provide dual value. They only provide just the single value, but the defensive value that Chomper does provide is very good. It's a cheap cost, so it's still a good card. It might be close to A tier, or maybe A tier in the future. We'll see. Call Girl is the worst card from this theme, period, end of story. We've all talked about this. Her scaling is terrible. Her energy cost is insanely too high, and she's just a bad card overall. And the fact that you don't get, it's a random superhero that she spawns out of your hand, just makes it that much worse. The fact that if you don't get lucky and have Coon available to you, it's just not going to be very good. And the biggest surprise to many of you probably will be seeing me put Coon in C tier. I have had a change of heart with the Coon based on what I've seen with his scaling. I've seen someone with a level 6 Coon. I've posted in my Discord, when someone posted it on one of the social media outsides for this game, and I saw his scaling. I believe his teamwork only goes up to plus 70, I believe, or maybe even less, 60 or 70 at max level 6. And his health is only 2400 health for a max level 6 epic card. That's terrible, right? Like, there are so many, like, Santa is so much better than Coon. At level 4, Santa is better than level 6 Coon. That doesn't make any sense. A level 5 Santa would wipe the floor with a level 6 Coon. Maybe the Coon will be better once more cards have been added to the game, but as of right now, the Coon is not in a good spot. His scaling might be the worst, as far as the fact that, yeah, he doesn't have a lot of damage. He's a tank card. He gets that boost from teamwork, which is nice, but the fact that a lot of these units aren't surviving very long anyways to give him that boost. At best, you'll get 200 and some damage boost with him. Maybe if you're lucky, you get Mosquito out there and stuff like that, which could be devastating, but he doesn't survive long enough to make it viable, because his health scaling is so low. And I get that his health scaling has to be somewhat low because of the fact that he can do so much damage output if there's enough superhero cards on the field. But until more superheroes come out and we see more power in this theme coming forward, Coon is going to be a weak card right now within this theme until, again, Super Craig comes out, Wonder Tweet comes out, a whole bunch of Professor Chaos, unfortunately probably General Disarray. Once some of these other cards start coming out, maybe we'll see, Midberry Crunch. I'd love to see, Captain Hindsight, as well as many others. Captain Diabetes, just to name a few. A Randy, obviously, will come out in the future. But anyways, I digress. Once the Coon has more allies in this theme to his advantage, maybe he'll be more viable. But as of right now, again, like I said, multiple times, unfortunately, that he's not in a good spot right now. So that is where I have ranked the superheroes in this tier. So let's break down and see where all these tiers line up as far as for the month of August. Guys, so the best theme in the current meta still stays mystical, still stays fantasy, still stays adventure. Superheroes to me is better than sci-fi right now, which might surprise a lot of you, right? That superheroes is so high. But superhero scaling is so good. Guys, it's really good. If you can get these cards leveled up, you will really see the power of the superheroes theme, and you'll see more people start playing it more consistently. I think that superheroes has better spells than what sci-fi has to offer right now, and has better, just better overall units. Even though they have some very significant weaknesses, sci-fi has some weaknesses as well. But to me, superheroes will be a more top best theme meta. Once more cards get trickled in, hopefully that you'll see superheroes really emerge and really rise. Sci-fi stays in the lower spot where it is, and neutral stays at the bottom where it's probably always going to infinitely be, unless some ridiculously neutral card comes out to boost it above any of these other themes. But this is where I think that the best themes are in the current meta. Again, not a lot of change has been happening over the last few months, and that's because Red Links hasn't balanced the game in the last couple of months. So it's been a little frustrating, a little disappointing, to where we haven't seen a lot of shift in this meta. And as you can see, it's been very stale over the last couple of months, and that's not my fault, and I don't know whose fault it is. I can't really blame one in specifically. It's unfortunately Red Links as a whole right now just because there hasn't been any balance changes done. Hopefully some balance changes come out next month that are exciting enough that we can talk about this, and maybe we'll see a shift in the meta at that time. Let me, as you guys always do, let me know down below what you think of this episode, of this meta shift, and of this month's rankings. If you agree, disagree with anything. Again, not a lot has changed because not a lot of change has been made within this game. Thank you guys so much for the support. It has been amazing. You guys have been awesome. A lot more Let's Night Let's Plays to continue to happen here on the channel, as well as Phone Destroyer, and we'll trickle in some other games as well. Any games you'd like to see me play, let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for the support, and until next time, guys, my name is Druzy.